Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. Gonna do a quick response slash entry into Low Noise Jason Skills, his 800 subs kind of celebration contest. First of all, congrats on the 800 subs, my friend. And yeah, he put up just kind of a really cool, fun thread question, which was to just share some of your favorite concerts of all time. Kind of plain and simple. I think he said at least five, but maybe no more than 15. So I think I actually went with 10 concerts here. And yeah, so just want to kind of jump on board and do a response to his thread. And I've obviously, I've seen so many concerts over the course of my lifetime. So I was kind of, I'm always have to, blah blah. I was kind of trying to figure out, well, how do I narrow it down? What criteria do I use? And what I decided to do was go with the concerts where I felt the most moved, or kind of felt like for moments I was in a bit of a surreal type of feeling with it, but just like the ones that made me feel the most, not necessarily the biggest bands with the best songs and all of that. So I just kind of, again, going back to what was I feeling during those concerts and which ones made me feel or physically experience something the most. So I made a list and was kind of crossing things off and all of that. So just for example, some of the honorable mentions that I kind of left off that didn't quite make the cut for that in the moment feel. Now I did feel something, but just maybe not as much as a 10 I'm going to show you. Like Gary Newman, Kitty, Slayer, Testament, Anthrax, Megadeth, Metallica, Melvins, Band of Horses, Smokey Robinson. That was one that came really close. Frankie Valli, Rush, Van Halen, Static X with Wayne Static, Iron Maiden, Foo Fighters, Counting Crows, Live. I mean, it's just a ton of bands I could just continue to go on and on with when it comes to that. Quite frankly, MC Hammer and Oaktown 357. That was one that came close to making it in. So yeah, just a big list of bands that just were right there. But I think I felt a little bit more during the moment with these. Let's just kind of jump right into it. Going to start off here with Fleetwood Mac. And again, I don't think this one really requires a lot of explanation, I should say. I did see them when McVie was there as well, and it was just, I mean, it was just the greatness that Fleetwood Mac was. So yeah, that one don't really have to explain a lot. Uh, a second one here, and I should mention the only two that I have in order are number one and number two. All the other eight are just kind of, these are in the top 10, but no specific order because I couldn't do that. The next one here is going to be Washed Out. Saw them in this small venue called the Firebird, which was a great venue because it was this little kind of bar club place that was just about 8 or 9 blocks from my loft when I used to live downtown, and it was cool because there was only two doors to get in: an emergency door back by the bar and the front door. So every single band that performed there, the only way they could get into the club and to the green room and backstage was they had to come through the front door. So you were guaranteed to be able to, pretty much see and get autographs or whatever from every single band that came there, and they would get some pretty good names there. I mean, that's where I saw Gary Newman, I just mentioned, and got his autograph, and that's where the Melvins came through, and on and on. Kitty was there as well, and just on and on. But yeah, one of the ones I just remember the most is Washed Out. And at the time too, I was so into this album, Within and Without. Like I love this album to death, and it was just one of those awesome kind of synth pop, dream pop type of albums that just takes me back to everything that I loved about the '80s, and they were kind of just doing it currently. And to see them, on tour when they were touring for this album, it was just kind of just being in there and experiencing it live and everything. It was a very cool experience. So that actually makes it into my top 10. Had to take it off the wall to show it to you. The next one here, and I probably could say this is number 3, but like I said, I didn't put these 8 in order. But when I saw Lionel Richie and Tina Turner, where Lionel Richie opened for Tina, I mean, talk about just a show of a show of a show. I mean, again, I don't think I have to say much about that. Just one of the greatest songwriters of all time with Lionel Richie, and then Tina, Tina doing Tina. Fantastic, fantastic show, and definitely has to make its way to my top 10. Let's see, the next one here, and this was kind of interesting when I was really kind of thinking about it and breaking it down. Wu-Tang Clan was another one that I think that kind of jumped right up there. You know, I've seen a lot of hip hop shows over the years, and one of the things that you even hear like a lot of comedians joke about sometimes. I know Steve Harvey did a bit about it on the Kings of Comedy, about how you can go to a hip hop or rap show and you have like all these guys on stage with microphones and they're all screaming and going wild, and like you can't understand or really take in anything that they're saying or doing. It's like unless you actually know the songs, like you have no idea what the heck is going on. And that was one of the things I remember the most about this is how close to album performance that they were. It was, for lack of better terms, I would say a more professional hip hop show. Like they were just so tight all the way through. And especially when Method Man came on and just, I mean, absolutely tore it up. And I just remember, like, you know, in that moment watching Meth, and just after that show, I was just like, that's one of the best freaking concerts I've ever seen, and just, you know, just freaking awesome. Next up here, another one that definitely goes on my list, which is Ladysmith Black Mambazo. My dad was first generation here from Africa, and so, you know, growing up, I had a very strong connection with that part of my history and my lineage, if you will. And this was one of the bands that was kind of, you know, doing a lot of stuff that he was really, really into and he used to listen to a lot. So they came to town, or a little ways away, but I bought some tickets for he and my mom. I should say, I bought tickets for the three of us, and I kind of surprised him and took him there. And yeah, it was just an amazing show. Not only being able to actually enjoy a concert with them and knowing that he may be even enjoying it more than me, because I was already a gigantic fan of him and he was just, you know, blown away. But they're an a cappella group, so number one, to see that type of performance with just no band, no nothing, like, you know, just microphones and them performing, dancing, and doing the a cappella thing, it was pretty freaking amazing. And so that's definitely a concert that definitely goes in my top 10 that I will always, always remember. Not only just from the performance standpoint, but then also experiencing it with my parents. Like that was a pretty magical night. And this one may seem kind of weird, but I think it definitely goes on the list for me too. Now this is the Philadelphia Orchestra, but Carl Orff's Carina Burana is one of my absolute favorite classical pieces of all time. And about 3 years ago, I saw the St. Louis Symphony perform it, and I'd never seen this performed live, which I had always wanted to. So the fact that I had the opportunity, and again, you talk about just blown away. It was just so freaking awesome. This is just, in my opinion, just one of the most biggest, powerful, and pretty much everyone has heard at least the let's say the initial piece here, because it's been used in movies and stuff all the time. And so if you actually listen to it, just put this on and play the first I don't know, the first 2 minutes of it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard that in a gazillion movies. And it's used in these movies for very specific reasons because of the size, the power, the force, just like all of that. So to actually see it with a live symphony and I don't know, like 100-piece orchestra or whatever else, I mean, it was just like as big and as punchy as any type of metal concert I'd ever seen. And it freaking blew me away. And I was so pumped that I got a chance to actually hear it live. And so that's one that makes my top 10, as odd as that may seem. Next, AC/DC, you know, again, it's the same thing. And this too was kind of cool because this was a very straightforward concert. Like it wasn't a bunch of, you know, stage pyro, this, that. It was, they did a song, lights went out, tuned guitars, did a song, lights went out, tuned, and it was just like one after the other, but it was just all about the music and the punch. And I remember that concert just freaking rocked from start to finish. And also, I think probably the loudest concert I'd ever been to. Just freaking insane, but that definitely goes on my list. Another one here, which I saw back in, this had to be like early 2000s, like 2007, somewhere around there, when I saw In This Moment open for Rob Zombie. And again, it was kind of in a cool venue. And I'd seen, White Zombie and, I hadn't seen In This Moment before because they had just released this album. They were touring on it, opening for Zombie. But for some reason, like, this was just the perfect night. And I just remember not only did, like, In This Moment just tear it up when they opened, I was floored by them after they finished their set. But then Rob opened up his set with the song, what did he come out with that time? I think it was off of this album, wasn't it? Yeah, he opened up with American Witch. That's what it was. And it was just one of those places where the crowd was in the right mind space. They were in the right mind space that night, and they just freaking rocked the heck out of that venue. So that's definitely still one of the top concerts that pops in my mind of just like, that was an awesome night. Now, now we're down to number 1 and number 2. So I think the number 2 best concert I've ever seen, and I've seen these groups individually, but the fact that I saw them together with this particular concert and just how tight they were that night was when Motley Crue opened for Kiss. That was one of the most mind-blowing, just kind of, I remember it was kind of cool because for the longest time, when I would talk about the show afterwards to people, I talked about it like 2 separate shows. Because in my mind, I had seen Motley Crue, and then some other time I went and saw Kiss. And I had to remind myself a lot of times that no, that was the exact same show. I even remember during the show after, it was clear that Motley Crue knew who was coming on after them. So they just pulled out, like they held no stops. They pulled it all out. And I mean, they might have used more lights and pyro and everything than Kiss did that night. But I remember the dude that I was standing beside, just, the guy I started chatting with after I got to the show, they had finished their set and they were changing over and we were sitting there talking. And we were talking about, how great this was, how cool this was, and blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I was like, holy cow, I almost forgot. Kiss is coming up next. It's like I forgot that I was there to see Motley Crue and Kiss, because that's how amazing a performance this was, that it almost seemed like that was the headline and it was time to go home. But no, you had this coming next. And yeah, I talked about that show for so long afterwards that definitely at my number 2 spot, without question. So that was an awesome one. Let's see. So my number 1, and this is always going to be my number 1. It was number 1 the first time I saw them, and it was number 1. And the first time I saw him was, 2008-ish, somewhere around there. I think it was the first time I saw him, 2007 maybe. Maybe even earlier than that. Last time I saw them was 3 weeks ago. And it is Godsmack. This show never lets me down and never fails to take me to just exactly what I want to feel when I go to a show. I mean, it's my favorite band, so of course that's going to be the case. But yeah, I think I've seen. I'm starting to lose track now, but I think like 17 or 18 times now. So I saw them about 2 months ago, and then I went and saw them about three weeks ago again. And I mean, I never get tired of seeing this. Of course, the set list changes up a little bit and stuff like that, but it's just kind of like it still feels like the same show to me every single time, and I just love it. And like I said, it's my favorite band, so a lot of my favorite songs, and so of course that's going to be all of that. But it's really kind of weird because even when I go to Godsmack shows now, and I do this with a lot of shows in general, period. Like you'll never catch me taking more than maybe 3 or 4 pictures or something like that, and it's usually because I'm sending it to someone at the moment. But it's one of those things where I choose to say I truly want to stay in the moment and experience this, because it's almost like this funny feeling that I have when I'm at a live show that like what my line of thinking is they're up there playing this song right now. This is the only place in the entire universe in all existence where this song is real right now. Everything else is a copy. Like everything else is a regurgitation in some way, shape, or form. this is the only real version of this song that exists right now, is the actual band with the actual people singing and playing the actual song. So I don't want to focus on anything else. I don't want to lose anything else because everybody else is doing the fake thing right now. We are the only ones experiencing the real thing. These few thousand people are the only ones experiencing the real thing. And sometimes that gives me like a chill. That gives me a deeper, diving into the performance and the song with that band. And Godsmack is definitely one that I do that every time I see them. I'm just always like, my favorite band, some of my favorite songs, and here is the only real live version on this planet Earth that's taking place right now. And it's just, especially with the song Awake, that's always the one that gets me the most with that. So they're definitely my absolute number one right there. So yeah, so there's my 10. And like I said, just so many bands that I can think about that I, just had, kind of some awesome experiences with it. I left off the list, all the ones that I named, and, even, again, I can make that list go on and on forever. But anyway, thanks for watching, VC. Again, Jason, congrats on the 800 subs, my friend. Let me know what you think, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.